I didn't have my kids, so what I decided to do was a hike that I wanted to do for a couple years now. I've been putting it off because it's probably a little much for young kids, but at the same time I've had some eye problems and it can be pretty sketchy. This is the Mount Olympus Trail. I've never ever done it. It's rated as hard. I guess the elevation's extreme and there's some scrambling, and so it needs some care. It's about 3 miles up, 3.1 up is what I read, and the average person does it in 3 to 6 hours. So depending on your hike level, what kind of endurance you have is going to control the speed you get to the summit. I have a break in the weather. It's been cloudy all week, and I just had eye surgery, so we don't know how fast I'm going to go. It was 50 degrees in Bountiful. It's 40 here and dropping. I brought some extra warm clothes. I've got some food, and so we're going to give this a shot and see how it goes. First off, I heard that the first mile is brutal, and looking at these stairs, the elevation gain definitely looks extreme. So we're going to get started on that. You can see from just off the bench, this is just off of Wasatch Boulevard. Lots of parking. There's a parking lot below these trees, and then people park along the road. And Salt Lake, just gorgeous as always. So the trail initially is a little rough, but not unmanageable. You just got to watch your feet. Lots of people on the trail today. So interestingly enough, I missed the trail. I went left here, and the trail is actually right there. So be aware that about a quarter mile in, you're going to go up over the rocks, and it is easy to miss. Well, I'm on the right trail now. That's what I get for never doing this hike before. It is steep, not terrible. I would rate it as difficult so far. Very fun, very pretty. Been warned a few times about the weather. I guess it's raining up top, snowing, and if that's the case, depending on how heavy it is, I may or may not go to the top. I do have some warm clothes, food, everything I need, but it's best not to get caught in bad conditions. Today was supposed to be a good day. We'll see how that stays. Now, the reviews I read were that the first mile was pretty brutal, and I'm about 6/10 of a mile in, and I'm not seeing that at all. There was some elevation right in the beginning, a little bit in the middle, but it is not hideous. In fact, it's quite pleasant compared to some of the other hikes I've been on. So maybe it gets steeper here in a little bit, but so far so good. Lots of pretty rocks around me, and you can still see the valley beneath me. You can see both temples. There's West Jordan, there's South Jordan. You probably can't see it in the camera. It's surprising how green Salt Lake City is after a rain. Looks like a forest down there. Just a beautiful, beautiful area. About 3/4 of a mile, you get some real rocky trail conditions, but not steep, a little bit of gain. Just have to watch your feet. You can trip and it would be a long fall, so just gotta be careful. So I've gone about 1 mile. It's taken me about half an hour, and I've been shooting photos and video, and I haven't been busting my butt. Not terribly hard. No harder than any of the other hikes I've done recently. So based on that, if it keeps that rate, about half an hour per mile for a typical hiker, I would guess. It is cooling off. I'm probably gonna have to switch to some other clothes. A couple of hikers said that the summit is in the clouds, it's raining and snowing. I'm gonna still try and go, but I may not get a lot of good pictures from up there. So here we go. So I am seeing a lot of dogs. The trail is very well groomed, very clean. Not seeing a lot of dog problems that I see on other trails. Very, very nice trail. And now I'm in some heavy green and with a little bit of elevation gain. Really pretty. This is about 1.2. About 1.25. It's flattened out a little bit. Some decent elevation gain. Below you can see the Salt Lake Valley all the way down Antelope Island. Just gorgeous. Now this must be the river crossing that everybody's talking about, and I'll bet in the spring it's a raging machine, but right now it's completely dry. So definitely at the 2 mile mark, elevation starts to change. Leaves are changing. Wind, much cooler.
It feels almost like winter right now. So in a second, I'm gonna get the rocks out of my shoes, and a little over 2.1. You have to scale over some light rocks to get back on the trail. Got to pay attention. A couple places to lose the trail. There's a cool little, I don't know if you could call it an arch, but a see-through cave or something. I know my camera will not do this justice, but you should just see the valley. Gorgeous. At 2.4 miles, it has turned to mostly a rock scaling path. It is not really marked, but I'm seeing footprints. You have to be careful because the trail disappears in a couple places and you have to look and find it. It's easy to go off course. I've had cell service most of the way, so I've been able to double check with Google Maps. The people, there was a lot of people in the beginning on the trail, but as I've got closer to the top, more people are turning around lower. And maybe that's because there's clouds, and some rain and snow, but interesting. So enough people are coming down in full winter gear that it's probably time for me to change, because I am cooling off the wind, and there is a lot of mist and there's snow everywhere. So I'm going to switch to a beanie. And typically I don't like beanies, because you put a beanie on and they're so tightly knit that they don't breathe, and the next thing you know, you're swamped in sweat. You pull your beanie off and you're frozen again, which defeats the purpose of a beanie. But I do like these beanies. These are hand knit by a lady in South Jordan. Her company on Facebook is Gigi Goes, and she makes by hand these beanies. And the advantage is they are loosely knit, so they provide a lot of heat, but they breathe, so you don't end up with a wet head. And I give these to my friends. I have them for my kids. I've bought about 10 of them. And like I said, each one is handmade. They machine wash really well. I would not plug a product that I do not believe in. And I'm not even friends with this lady, but I do believe in her hats. As far as a hiker, runner, paintballer, anything with activity, this type of beanie, this lightweight beanie, this is the way to go. So we will continue on now with a little more heat in our head. I ran into a guy who said he hiked this trail about 40 times. And the first time he hiked it was in 1964, which is 10 years before I was born. It's just crazy that this trail has been here this long, how many people it's seen. And even if you aren't able to summit, which we may not be able to, it is just a really cool trail. It is not as hard as everybody makes it out to be. Definitely, you have to use some care, but it is not unmanageable. And there's gonna be some light scaling here, and you can see the fog rolling in. And here is some rough trail. It's getting wet. A little bit of light scaling, not too bad. Just watch where you step. As you can see, a lot of snow on the ground here. And this is about 2.6 miles. The terrain changes quite a bit over the hike. I'm getting a little rain too, so we'll see as far as we can go. If it gets hairy, we'll turn around. My grandpa used to say what makes a good hike is being smart enough to know when to turn around. Now, we're not there yet, but we start getting some serious rain and snow, and I'll turn around. I'm not equipped for severe winter conditions, and I've been trapped in snow before, and it's not pleasant. So be aware that right now, this time of year, at this elevation, you're dealing with early winter conditions if a storm comes in. I've ran into a few people. Some are summiting, some are not. Yes, I know I'm a fashion crisis, but I'm warm, and that's all I care about. We're about a half mile from where we're trying to get to. It is really steep at this point. I would say a 25% grade. Rocky, steep, and cold at this point. This would probably be a fantastic hike midsummer. It's still very neat, but you will need good hiking shoes, winter clothes. I would bring emergency gear, poncho, food, water, just things you might need. It is not terribly far, but the steepness of this last mile is pretty challenging. Now granted, I'm not in as good a shape as I should be. It's been a rough year, and I can only go at a certain speed, but just be prepared when you get up here, and you should be fine. Bring a hat, a warm hat. The fog is starting to get thick. You can see it up here. Walking into this, lots of snow now. So I just crossed my 3rd mile. Now granted, I've been going pretty easy, but it took me 47 minutes to do the 3rd mile because of how steep it's gotten. So the 1st mile was about half an hour. The 2nd mile was a little over that. I think, wasn't really paying attention. I'm guessing about 40 minutes. And this one's been 47 minutes? So it gets progressively harder. So if the saddle, all right, about 3.1, a 5K. The last 1/10 of a mile has been really steep, probably 30% grade, lots of rocks, lots of snow. Getting mixed stories. Some people are summiting, some people are saddling, some people are turning around because the fog is rolling in. You can see it behind me. We'll keep going, at least to the saddle, as long as the fog doesn't get too thick. It is getting much colder. So like I said, about 3.1 right now. Heavy trees, lots of snow, rough trail, but not terrible. Still doable. It is a workout, be aware. So I'm at 3.2, and I will say that the first 3 miles of this hike, you could rate it as a beginner hike. However, after that, it is definitely an intermediate. It is extremely steep, wet, slick, some scrambling. So if you're an intermediate, you'd be fine. If you're a beginner, I'd turn around at about the 3 mile mark. It's not horribly hard, as long as you pick where to put your feet and you just have a controlled pace. But it is very steep, and there's no running up this section of the trail for me, at least. So apparently I'm pretty close to the saddle, but I'll tell you what, this last 2/10 of a mile, this has been serious. I've had to slow right down. So at about 3.4, it's flattening out for a little bit. I don't know how long, but it's very, very nice to have a flat walk for a change. And we're moving forward. Whew. I'm telling you, that last half a mile, that's some serious hiking. The majority of people I hike with probably would have turned around and bailed. And I hike with some pretty serious people. So I can only think of one that would be here with me, maybe 2. Anyway, we're almost to the saddle, so carry on. So apparently this section is the saddle. I didn't even realize that, which put me at 3.4 miles to the saddle, and the summit's that way. So I'm gonna check it out, see if it's worth doing. Visibility is getting really low and it's getting cold, so we'll have to decide here in a second. The terrain is changing. I'm moving on towards the summit. I'm hoping that the wind will blow out some of the fog. Most everybody else is turning back. It's not raining or snowing, so I'm willing to continue forward. If the conditions change, I will turn around. But so far so good. I guess it becomes a scrambling shortly. So we'll have to see how bad that looks. All right, I'm at 3.5 and I'm on my way to the summit. It is very cold, a lot of snow. It's mostly scrambling. Not hard, just have to watch where you're stepping, watch where your hands go. At 3.6, it is pure scrambling. You can walk a few feet and then you've got to use your hands. You got to go real slow and careful. Well, it's getting pretty serious. I would deem this part expert if you're trying to summit.
Tries to make it like, yeah, like you're getting there.
So this is basically light rock climbing. It's not terribly hard. You just have to be careful. So here we go. You can see the route up to the summit, and it's obscured by fog.
This hike, it's pretty fun. Bit of steep scrambling at the top here that was a little bit unexpected, but
I think we got a great day for it today, right? You start off in late summer in the valley, you walk up through autumn, and up here it's kind of winter. There's just a little bit of snow. So, okay, we got the cloud today, but it's still really pretty.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
You guys have a lot of hiking in Australia?
yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Nice. Well, I thought the previous section was serious. Boy, was I wrong. This section is serious. About 3.66 of a mile. It is scrambling and light rock climbing. Unfortunately, because of the fog, I'm not going to get any real cool pictures of the valley, but the immediate scenery itself is worth doing this. I'm going to keep going. I'm into the hike. 2 hours, 45 minutes. I've taken a lot of pictures. I've stopped and talked to a few people. You probably could get up here in 2.5 hours if you kept a steady walking pace, but I've been real careful. I only have one good eye. So here we go. Keep moving forward up.
Okay. I don't know how don't put this on an example for anyone of what I guess you could what not to do.
You're doing great.
Made it. Take a
Okay.
little section there.
We just need a little help with Willow.
Do I need to pull the dog out? Oh my gosh.
Okay, I need, I just need
Yeah, you need some help.
a little bit of a boost.
I'd help you, but
That,
he knows your dog.
her harness has a handle.
That's pretty amazing.
There we go. Nice.
Good job, Willow. In this section, it's important to really watch your hands and feet. I'm not getting a lot of footage because I'm testing every handhold, every foothold twice. It's slick, it's rocky, and a fall either direction is probably deadly. So I definitely would rate the summit expert.
Plant at the top.
I've got a beer if you want me to hide it.
No, I don't care. We don't judge anybody. That's the wrong way to go. So what do you think of this hike?
It's one of the hardest in the Wasatch, I think.
I think you're right.
I've done it a couple times, and I think Lone Peak's the only one that beats it.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't done Lone Peak. I need to, but I'm impressed. I used to think I was in pretty good shape, but
Yeah.
I'm feeling it here. I'm like, wow. So,
Yeah, that last stretch, that scramble up,
Mhm.
that's hard.
well, you know, I read all the reviews and everybody said, oh yeah, it's easy till you get to the last half mile. Boy, they weren't joking.
Yeah.
So,
It changes from a hike to a climb.
yeah, it does. It does. It changes to light rock climbing.
Yep.
Well, unfortunately, the fog is preventing me from seeing anything, which might be better because pretty precarious up here. But I met these wonderful gentlemen who said exactly what I thought. It was rough as hell. What a great hike. If you want to challenge yourself, this is the one. I didn't realize it was this hard, and I'm gonna eat my corn nuts up here because I'm whooped. But what a cool place. See, Dad, I'm not the only crazy person up here. All these other people are crazy too. People from as far away as Australia are crazy up here. Well, the snow is starting to fly, so I'm gonna get the hell out of here. So I had to bug out because it was snowing and it made me a little nervous. But to the summit from the road was about 4 miles. 3 miles of that was not terrible. The 4th mile was serious with steep inclines, scrambling, light rock climbing, and again, I would rate it as an expert area. I am not an expert rock climber. I can scramble, I can do light rock climbing. I never felt out of control, but the potential for disaster is there. I would not recommend it for small children. There were some dogs up there that had handles, and their owners carried them over the rocks, and seemed to work pretty well. But I would say that the last mile, after that, the 4th mile, is for serious hikers only. The 3 miles, anybody can do, but that 4th mile to the summit is pretty impressive.